Put yourself in a story with me just for a moment. It's summertime, like today, but it's this, excuse me, but it's this story but in this story, excuse me, you've been invited on a date to the beach with all of us in this room. We've been planning for this event for a few hours. We look to find the best suits to flaunt in front of one another. You search online and come across something that's named a Monokini. Now we're here at this information session to now sit here and know a little bit more about the information on whether or not we want to purchase it. Well, you come to the right place. My name is Takia, and this is my informative speech entitled Rudi Set You Free, about Rudi Gernreich's achievements in the infamous topless swimsuit, the AKA Monokini. As I focus on Rudi and his innovation of the Monokini, I want you to keep in mind, in the back of your head, of a great designer who took inert construction out of bathing suits, mixed patterns such as striped bikinis, such as stripes, checks, and dots in one outfit, invented the unisex look, and expressed freedom throughout his designs. Rudi Gernreich was a fashion innovator that birthed many great achievements, including the world infamous Monokini, also known as the topless bikini/unikini. After his interview with Women's Wear Daily and Sports Illustrated, Rudi marked 1964 as the year of the Monokini, and he's going to execute it and make that specific suit. This one-piece beach garment, that's also equivalent to a bottom piece of a bikini, was a topless revolutionary in the 60s, thanks to the fashion innovator, Rudi Gernreich. Rudi's work has lived throughout the years after he's broke the world with his daring fashion statement. We still wear examples of the Monokini prototype as designers look today at his work for fashion expression. To begin, the Monokini was coined by the Austrian-born designer Rudi, aka Rudolf Gernreich, in 1964. But it wasn't until he was pushed from his promises that the true Monokini was actually birthed. On September 12, 1962, and WWD, also known as Women Wear Daily, reporter Sylvia Shepard witnessed the first prediction from Mr. Gernreich himself. He stated bosoms will be uncovered in 5 years. Then again, he predicted this during another interview during Sports Illustrated in 1964 as well. I'd gone as far by swimwear cutouts that I've decided the body itself, including breasts, which could become an integral part of a suit's design. It was then the eruption began with consumers asking Rudi about the suit in which he spoke of. That's when the daring pair of high-waisted briefs featuring 2 delicate straps that converged at the center of the waistline and extended to a halter around the neck. This specific suit here, is what Peggy Moffat is wearing in this specific picture. Since Rudi's comments to both Sports Illustrated and WWD, people started to question if Rudi was actually going to create this suit. And the more he was hearing the ridicule, the more he felt to actually do it. The final days of 1963, Suzanne Kirkland, the reporter of Look magazine, was doing a trend story along the futuristic designs and wanted to feature Rudi's top suit, which was actually published first time by a Bahamian prostitute from the Behind. Later, with Peggy Moffat, in order to avoid sensationalism, William Claxton, which is her husband, and of course Peggy Moffat and I decided to take down photographs of Peggy in the suit and presented them to the fashion press in news magazines. We agreed to avoid Playboy and girly magazines, as Rudi Gernreich stated. Now that you know the push, let's cover the design. The topless was a revolutionary design that broke the barriers of traditional swimwear by beauty exposing the breasts. At this time, breasts were growing in dimension, if not physically, cosmetically, and above all, sociologically. They had almost become jokes. Every girl I knew was offended by the dirty little boy attitude of the American male versus American bosom. Bearing these breasts seems logical in the period of freer attitudes, freer minds, and emancipation of women, Rudi states. And also during June 22nd, 1964, the New York Times, the American way of life is on the slide of everything that gives the possibility of trampling on morals and interests of society for the sake of ego. Also, so the decay of the money bag society continues, which confirms that the photography more, they photographed the Monokini, more than they actually worn it. There was actually two times they actually wore the Monokini. Which is actually very brave. And the second time anyone ever wore the Monokini, they were actually locked up. I think the girl was only 19 years old, and she was actually locked up for that event. During this time, Gernreich's work is an expression of young and free, and also nonconformist 60s spirit. July 14th of 1964, a Los Angeles Examiner stated that in the Los Angeles Examiner, there was a statement that the suit had been legally approved in Sweden, Germany, and Austria, but it was banned in Holland, Denmark, and Greece. But Rudi continued to push his view, siding with the statements of fashion, does come up from the streets now. He told the Tribune Garnet News service in 1964, young people are saying we are people, not men and women. There is no sexual confusion. It's a social change. Now that you know of the push in the designs, let's go talk about the future. Over the years, the Monokini has evolved into a trendy and practical fashion statement with designs and shapes that cater to every style preference. Choosing a proper Monokini, like any other suit, is as effortless as bathing in the sun. The key is to find one that accommodates and accentuates your body type. These suits that you see here, unique pieces, and these suits that you see here are unique pieces that strike the perfect balance between sensuality and sophistication. Oh my gosh, sophistication. Making them an excellent choice for those seeking an attractive swimwear or swim piece option that doesn't feel overly revealing. Today, we have suits that are connected from the waistline to help shape the body type properly and without exposing too much skin, as Rudi Gernreich insinuated. To conclude, Rudi Gernreich was a great designer who inner construction out of bathing suits, mixed patterns such as stripes, checks, and dots in one outfit, invented the unisex look with most importantly, formulated the world-renowned Monokini. Now that you know what a Monokini is and who masterminded this beautiful swim piece, you can confidently shop knowing the history of this piece with the quote in mind from Peggy herself. Rudi Gernreich was a prominent of responsibly priced clothes and was anti-status fashion. He was also the first designer since Dior to become a household name throughout the world. The controversy he has caused has continued even after his death. But the fact remains, he changed the vocabulary of fashion for the 20th century. And here is the sourcing. That is the speech. Thank you so much. And that is it, y'all.
I like how that last part had Brooklyn though.